Welcome everyone. The topic for the day is stakeholder management. We will understand during the execution of the project there are many vendors, there are many stakeholders which crosses the path of a project manager, and we manage them. So we need to understand the direct impact of the stakeholder management in the project success. Yes, very true. It is their contribution which makes all the difference altogether. The practical tools and the techniques for managing your stakeholders is what we are looking into it, and learn how to create a stakeholder management plan altogether. Here we go as on when on basis. The single, remember, the first and the foremost thing as far I am concerned is communication. This is what exactly is all about it. As George Bernard Shaw had already pointed out, and I am quoting him. Remember, this is an illusion. What is an illusion? That communication has already taken place. Please get it paraphrased. Please get a confirmation. The single biggest problem in communication is the illusion that it has taken place. Do not have a preformed notion in your mind. Get all your stakeholders, paraphrase your ideas, get or you paraphrase the ideas of the stakeholders understanding. This is of very utmost importance. So what is, according to you, what is a stakeholder management? Basically, it is a process of interpreting and influencing, be it your internal stakeholder, that is your team members, or your external stakeholder, that might be your vendors altogether, in the product life cycle by creating a positive relationship, positive vibes that we are looking into it. How do you go about with the appropriate management style? Certain vendors would be looking for an advance payment to initiate the work. Certain vendors, they might have enough confidence in you, probably might start working without the advance payment altogether. So that is what we need to go around it. Stakeholder management prepares a strategy based on information gathered during the identification analysis phases of the process, aiming to support the strategic objective of the organization and product. This is very important that comes around it. Remember, I will utilize the word stakeholders and would like to record it as often as possible. I was just googling it out, just making an internet survey, and to find it out that it is way back, approximately 3 centuries back. It was in early 1708. In the land, it says my stake. That means this was my land. So from there, this word originated, stakeholders. It was first introduced in the business in the Stanford Research Institute in 1963. So the concept was first linked with management strategy in Edward Freeman's book Strategic Management, a Stakeholders Approach in 1984. It was as late as the last centuries that we are talking about it, the fag end of the last century, that stakeholders was a word incorporated in a management book by Edward Freeman, which stated strategic management, a stakeholder approach in. The word got its prominence, and look at the circulation. It mesmerized ourselves. And way back in 2022 that we are looking into it, we have the graph like something like similar to this. So stakeholder word usage over time. So, who is a stakeholder? Please understand, everyone is. Everyone is a stakeholder, believe me or not. A person who is required looking at the project results are the drivers. They are the driver. The person who are executing the work, they are your team members. The person who helps you to succeed are your supporters or your vendors. The person who is interested in the project, probably the next best client that is going to go around it and award a project to you, or probably the owners of the project, your clients altogether, and people who do not want you to succeed is your opposite. Believe me, those who are in your team are in your favor, not in your team, not in your favor, or probably the society at large. Everyone is a stakeholder. Stakeholder is anyone and everyone who can ruin your day as and often as possible. So please have a very lenient approach towards the drivers, the team members, the supporters, the observers, the opposers, and everyone. Remember, I've just given a generic terms as these might be. So you have to elongate these terminologies to your projects as on when on you're entangled with. So exactly what is stakeholder management is all about it. It is the right way of engaging people in your project. The right way from one person look at it. the number of audiences that has increased altogether. So this is the audience that goes around here. So that is the right way of stakeholder management, the right people in the right. So to develop a relationship with all individuals to manage their impacts on your project, it is better, remember, better to keep a lid on a scope creep. Be very tight with your scope, as tight as possible. If you can define it very tightly, the chances of the success become very, very, very high, immensely high. Ensure project requirements are aligned. Understand tolerance for risk and mitigate those issues time and again. Mitigate completely. So you have to understand this scope thereby. So understand the tolerance. Now we will like to see understand what are the various technique that needs to be considered for having a one stakeholder management. To start with, ask these three questions. Who are your stakeholders? Be it any project that you're looking into it. And believe me, every project of your things, maybe it is your son and daughter's education. Who are your stakeholders around there? Just try to figure it out. It is a as mundane example that I can give it to you. So, what does each stakeholder expect from your project? Please understand. I again reiterate your sons and your daughter, if they are young enough. So, what are the stakeholder? What are each stakeholder expect from them as a project? Your son and daughter being a project, their teachers, the schools, you, your parents, their friends, the friends, parents, and so on and so forth. Everybody is a stakeholder. How will the satisfaction be measured across the organization? And this is where we're looking into it. So, coming up with the question, so we have to say about the interest, we have to say about the motivation. Interest, are they positive, are they negative, are they with you, are they neutral, are they against you? What are the motivations altogether? What do they want? What are their stake in the pie altogether? The larger the pie is, the more the interested they will be. Their opinion of your work counts. If your sons, if your daughters, they grow up to be a wonderful, successful person, everybody would be very pleased with you. The opinion of the work, do you value it? Or don't you value it? Who influences them? This is what the stakeholder. And believe me, do not limit your imagination to the example that I've cited, and it please elaborate it, extend it to the corporate world that goes around it. There are so many projects, building up a bridge, building up a road, building up anything. It can be a software that we are looking into it. It can be a small furniture hub that we are looking into it. It can a retail showroom that we are looking at it. Whatever the projects are all about it, how to win them, how to go about them. So there are many projects that comes around it. How will you manage these people who oppose you? Best, keep your enemies closer, keep your friend close. The saying goes says the but it says the enemy should be kept much closer. And who influence your opponent? So opponent is the one part that needs to be discussed time and again. Please understand, is it negative? What do they want? What is their opinion? Has that been taken? Now, project management, they have two things. On an x-axis is interest. We have pointed interest. On the y-axis, we have printed power. Remember, when power is low and interest is low, what kind of things comes around? It to be monitored frequently, external regulator, customers, organizational. Similarly, when the power is high but the interest is low, what do we go about it? The project management office, the information technology, the finance department, the quality assurance team, they are, the power is high, they are going to monitor everything. But on the other hand, if the project power is low but the interest is very high, we are talking about people who are passionate about the project, be the functional manager, the sales manager, the system admin, the suppliers. They are always to be kept informed altogether. What happens if both are very high? This is a quadrant that we would literally aspire to be. It is all about the project sponsor, it is all about the top management, the steering committee, the project vendor, the project teams that comes around here. We need to understand this concept altogether. We need to follow it. We need to have it. So we have plotted interest on x-axis and power on y-axis, and this is how it needs to be kept around it. The definitions, the do's and don'ts, where to be kept them satisfied, to be managing very closely, keeping informed, and so forth. So here comes of the stakeholders. First and the foremost thing, keep them happy. This is my utmost requirement of my project managers, is to keep them happy. How do we keep them happy? Be consistent with your reporting. Be consistent with your delivery status report. If it is weekly, daily, hourly, minute wise, update them. There is nothing wrong in stating what has been happening, because if things go right, nobody will point a finger. But if suddenly there's something bad thing happen, at least the burden will not be on your chest. You would have already informed everything, and people will come to know as on when on basis. So delivery status report is to be done. Keep the project moving forward. Keep on top of the schedule, absolutely as per the schedule that goes around it. Monitor scope very, very, very closely that comes around it. This is to be very consistently developed and kept at loop. So looking at into it, we will be talking about the artifacts of the stakeholders engagement. Now this is where the knowledge, the demand, the progress needs to be communicated. Communication plan has to be there. The process changes has to be worked around it. The change control process, the log risk, the issue log, the risk log needs to be maintained as on when on basis. The key control of stakeholder management, collect data throughout the projects, yes, throughout the project, assess the level of the engagement, use insight from the data collection, and adjust strategies as on when on required. Do not get fixated over a strategy altogether. This is something which I would again say, resist all again of you timely on a time to time basis. Now we come to the fag end of the presentations, wherein we I will talk about the summary action. There are four things that go around it. We talk about planning, that is thinking. We talk about applying, that is of bringing together, and then we talk about acting or executing, and last but not least is the message communication that needs to be engaging about it. So think who are your stakeholders, think, identify them, rank them, prioritize them. Once you prioritize them, you will know exactly what is the weightage that is to be given. Who are your influencer? Then who are going to help you, assist in, and who are going to oppose you, hinder you? Based on your thought process, you segregate these stakeholders and then apply their to their needs. Apply, tailor every of your responses towards their needs, towards their schedule. Know their schedule. Add summary to each artifact. This is where you have to apply yourself after segregating the stakeholders. Once you have applied the requirement, then is the work of executing it. Now start modifying communication. Informal updates that needs to be done through the grapevine, through the rumors, through any formal channel also. Last but not the least, if possible, take everybody on board, partner them, lobby them, communicate them, utilize any medium as long as they are on board. This is of utmost importance. Last but not the least, good stakeholder management helps you to manage politics that can often come with a major projects. This is what I'm been trying to tell it to you. Good stakeholder management helps you to manage politics that more often than not, will be an integral part of major project. It helps you to win support of your projects, eliminate the sources of projects and the work stress altogether in the complete synonymous. With this, I come to this presentation. Thank you for watching this video.